Hello again, guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Queensland Abandoned Mines. And thanks for tuning in with us today. And boy, you guys in for an adventure and a really thorough survey of a really historic site in the Dawes State Park up in Monau. So today's adventure was one of the longest days of our lives. The adventure started about 5:30 in the morning. I think our return to home time was just shy of 2 a.m. So the original idea was to get in and do a 2-day trip with one day just checking out the workings coming up off the creek near the old smelter sites, and then the second day heading a little bit to the south to a place called the Lady Inez mine. Things took a turn when we hit a very jagged rock and popped a tyre. So at one stage we were faced with the prospect of having to do a 16k return trip to try and get to the closest farmer that would hopefully have a tyre iron that would fit our car, because we realised once we punctured the car, although we had a spare, we did not have a tyre iron. So some beautiful workings were found. The day ended up being amazing, thanks to a couple of good Samaritans that came to our rescue. We found some beautiful mines. The first part of the day was a little bit disappointing because the main workings, the reason why we drove 4 hours out there, ended up being a bit of a disappointment. But what we found in the last third of the day was just absolutely mind-blowing. And we were successfully able to survey the whole site and put together the story and share with you guys how these mines came to be. So enjoy today's episode, guys. Welcome back to another episode. Ebenezer with you, and today we're in Glassford Creek, and the adventure has just started to heat up a little bit, both temperature wise and action wise. We've just hit a massive rock and completely flattened a tyre. For anyone that knows this road that comes in off the Cow Power Road, it's pretty hardcore. We're doing pretty well just to get this far, so time to change the tyre. Well, the adventure's already begun, guys. We're only 5 hours into our journey. Hit a crazy sharp slab of granite. We've deduced that it would have sliced any tyre. At least that's what we're saying to make us feel better. But the little front wheel drive car made it about 90% of the way here. So it's cut down of our 8k walk down to 1.3 kilometres. In total, we're carrying over 50 kilos worth of gear, so the car did well. So the plan is to go set up, and we've got to trek back all the way 8k's tonight when it gets a bit cooler to go ask for a farmer for a tyre iron, because although I checked that I had my spare tyre, I did not check that I had a tyre iron. So we've got a 16k trek ahead of us this evening to be able to change the spare, because the hills that we came up and down, there is no way we can get back out onto the main road with a flat tyre. Wouldn't have the ground clearance, wouldn't make it. Car would be a write-off. We've got a pretty action-packed day ahead of us. See you guys when we're at the smelter site. Where did it go? Is it in the grass? They're pretty, oh careful man. They're pretty placid, aren't they?
Yeah, placid but also poisonous.
Yeah. Oh, somewhere in there, guys, there's about a 5-foot long red belly black snake somewhere in the grass. Just cut out the path in front of us. Alrighty guys, well, thanks to the gentleman that just saved our day. We had an 8-kilometre hike in the hot night back to civilization to try and ask a farmer for a tyre iron. They've just driven us all the way back to the car and all the way back to our camp, so absolute champion. So we can now spend the day just chilling out. Check this out, guys, we're in Glassford Creek copper mines. First established in 1875. There's a beautiful old chimney still here. Look at that old girl. The chimneys, it's the second oldest copper smelter in Queensland. So the oldest one was Mount Morgan, and I believe it's the first one in Queensland that's Australian funded.
So the history of this place out here, although I don't think we're actually on the Monal goldfields, we're a little bit further east of that. It was very hard going for the miners out here. Obviously it's the middle of nowhere, but they had a really hard time floating their companies, their mining companies in London, because all of the goldfields out here, even though they found some massive nuggets, I'm just telling you a little bit of the history, is just we're walking out on top of this massive mullock heap here. Look at the size of this thing. They found nuggets in Monal in the 1870s and 1880s. Two nuggets were found that weighed 70 ounces. I'll put up the value of that in today's with today's gold prices. So when the miners came out this way and they were trying to float the company, because of all the failed history of the Monal goldfields, they couldn't find any investors. It means this old girl was all funded with Australian money. Check this out. This looks like part of the old slag heap. From the old smelting plant. According to a couple of the travel blogs that we saw, you can't actually park your car here anymore. This is all blocked off. But if you park your car here on the northeastern corner, this is indeed the tip. They tick all the slag over. Oh yeah, look at that. That's epic. Even a bit of old rail line in there. Just having a look at some of the cool little specimens. Some of the bushwalkers have put aside, which is really cool. If we find any more, we'll add them to the pile. So that's that molten slag. So this whole hill is all an old slag dump. Some old bricks from the chimneys. Campbell's. I have to Google that. You see the copper carbonates coming through on that one. So that's a byproduct of what they don't want after the firing process. Some old cast iron here. Really cool site. Yeah, getting back to the two coolest stories I was going to tell you about earlier day Queensland copper mining that resonate with me. One involves this site, and the second one involves the beginnings of Mount Perry copper. I think it was actually before the years that the Queensland Copper Co got started. And it's really cool. You can see they've done some preservation. They've actually used the old rail lines to make sure this old brickwork doesn't fall over. Got this beautiful old cribbed up wall here. Yeah, but getting back to the story, when they first really started to hit good copper at Mount Perry, within the first 12 months they'd sunk 1,000 feet of shafts, and the first lot of miners that came up, I believe there's only about 25 or 35 of them, they arrived at the port of Maryborough. Now they had no way, had not organised any way of getting to Mount Perry, so they walked. They walked with their picks, their sacks, and they walked, the whole crew of them. I'll put up on screen how many kilometres that is. It just shows you how keen they were to get into these mines and start hitting it big. So the second part of the story involves this Cornish boiler. Now this thing would weigh, I don't know how many tonnes. Look at the size of the flume, the exhaust on it. Now these would have normally sat inside some brickwork somewhere. So this probably would have been part of the old brickworks that used to house the Cornish boiler. But to get this old girl here, they dragged this all the way. They took a team of 64 horses and had to drag this up the Dawson Ranges all the way from Gladstone to get it here. Now this is what would have powered the mines, and this is what would have powered the smelting plants as well. And these are the footings as well. Some really old brickworks in here. So yeah, two really cool copper stories, guys. Shows you the commitment of what they were going to do and willing to do to get these mines up and running. That's a really cool shot, isn't it? Got the boiler sitting there rusty away in the bush. Big exhaust. And then the old kiln that would have housed it. And we've now got a 130, 140 year old tree growing through it. So cool. And that's the end of the little siding. What an impressive sight. And whoever built that chimney, she's still standing pretty true. No lean on it. Alrighty guys, check this out. We're at the Blue Bag open cut mine. Pretty early days for an open cut operation. And when they talk open cut or open cast, it's still only fairly small. So they've carved all of this rock out here.
Alrighty guys, I'm just pausing the video just for a second, just so we can all appreciate how absolutely awesome this photo is. Now remember, the year's 1906. You can see it all going on in this picture. You got the heavy gauge rail, you got the horses. Now in 1906, photography wasn't an everyday occurrence yet. You can see the image that I've thrown up here is the really famous Kodak box brownie camera that was brought into Australia around about the year 1900. Now, photography didn't become a regular everyday occurrence until the 1940s. So the other reason I paused the image here is to take appreciation for this guy. Check this guy out. Now who knows what he's doing up there? I mean, he could be single jacking a hole for the powder guy to come through. He could be up there pry barring down any loose rocks after a blasting round so they don't fall down onto his buddies. What I think he's doing, he would have had plenty of days' notice. The whole mining crew would have had a couple of days' notice that the photographer was going to be in town. I'd like to think he's launched over the edge just to really put a punctuation mark on this awesome historic photo from 1906. What a champion.
Now apparently they were getting some pretty good ore out of here, but then they stopped and decided to try some adit style mining. But because of the transition from open cut and the different machinery, the different equipment, the different methodology, they only went for another 18 months and then went bust. So apparently there's some pretty big stopes in here. So we're going to check it out. Just before I go in, I don't think I remind viewers enough, you should never visit abandoned mines without the appropriate training. We've done rappelling course, we've done a ropes recovery course, and you've got to have one of these. These aren't cheap, these are about 350 bucks. These are a 4-gas meter. We use a Beauchamp 4-gas. Now, but these things can drift, so we've got to send these away to New South Wales once every 12 months, and they calibrate them, and then they come back with a little certificate. So never, ever, ever enter an abandoned mine if you don't have the right gear. I have, no joke, seen some YouTube videos of people waving those cheap little yellow gas meters, 4-gas meters, a lot of the UK guys use, and they've actually waved it 5 to 10 meters in front of the portal, and they've got oxygen as low as 16. So we're registering at the moment. I'll try and get it for you. 20.9 is normal atmosphere. Pretty crook air is down in the 10s and 12s, but anything in between is a reason to evacuate. So if you haven't got one of these, what will happen is you'll generally get dizzy, and then you'll be found dead inside a mine with blue lips because you'll lose the ability of your legs to get back out. So very important, guys. So I'm just going to put my camera down so I can clip that on. And we'll just stick our head just inside here. We won't disturb any of the bats, and we'll check out what this little adit's got to offer us. All right, let's have a squeeze. Got some big timbers out the front. And if anyone ever asks what's our favourite mines to explore, it is 100% copper. With copper you get these beautiful azure blues. Hopefully we'll see some of that inside. There's a little pocket of it just there. That's not worth any money. That's a secondary copper deposit. So it's caused from when the water comes out from the ore body above, leaves a little secondary copper deposit. And your blue is normally azurite, which is the copper carbonate, and then your green's normally malachite. You can see some cool little crystals up in there too. Remnants of an old shot hole, guys. Alright, can already hear the bats. Oh, well, that's already not a good sign. Don't think the back of the mine's come down, but that looks like it's the main support for this little stope chamber. I'd say over age, it's just the timbers have rotten. Let's have a little explore. Alright, so we've got a little exploratory off to our side just here, guys. Oh, those beautiful old timbers. How cool is that? Big ground supports. We got some of that copper carbonate we can see on the wall just there, or on the ribs I should say. The other thing with exploring abandoned mines too, guys, bats are really cool. We were so scared of them when we first started exploring mines. We now love them. I believe what we're filming right now is the Australian microbat, but you've got to be careful. The Australian microbat and the Australian fruit bat, they can carry Australian lyssavirus. I'll try and mention that in as many of my episodes as I can. You have to be really unlucky because you have to be scratched or bitten by an infected bat. Now if that bat is infected with Australian lyssavirus, which I think is very similar to Hendra, the bat's life expectancy at that time is very, very short. But if you're unlucky and you get scratched or bitten, the cases in Australia, they are very rare, but they are almost always fatal. Just walking very slowly. Oh, we've got a big toad in here, check him out. Mine toad. Alright, let's see where this goes. Yeah, so getting back to my story and giving you guys all a proper warning about bats to make sure they're looked after. Really recently, I think only about 2 weeks ago, I just got hit in the face with a moth. The local paper and news outlets were trying to seek the location of 2 young kids that apparently were nursing an injured bat somewhere near Bundaberg. And they were both scratched and bitten by the injured bat. Obviously when the bats are injured, they're pretty distressed, like all animals. They found the location of one of the people that was scratched, but they never found the location of the second person. So if you get scratched or bitten by an Australian bat, microbat, fruit bat, you've only got 48 hours to get the immunohemoglobin, I think it's called. That's what happened to us when we were exploring out Mount Perry Way once. We got rushed straight to hospital. And after you get the shot, the immunisation, you got to go back for 3 more booster shots. So yeah, if you're ever thinking, you know, why am I exposing myself to so many bats? We actually love the little fellas now. They're really cool. And yeah, we are immunised against Australian lyssavirus. But anyway, we've got a bit sidetracked about my bat stories. That's about all she wrote, guys. So let's give the bats some space and jump out of this one. This is indeed like we thought it was going to be, because we knew it was only operated on for about 18 months. This is interesting though. Wonder where that goes. That indeed has been backfilled, or it's been pushed in from above. Oh, there's our friend the toad. Those cool little bats, guys. How cool are they? Don't know if I can say the same about the cane toad. All right, bats. Thanks for letting me explore your cave. And actually, have a look at that. Some Australian Coppermine moths. That's interesting. Actually really pretty. All right, guys, let's get out of this one. Sadly, that didn't go any further. Might not have been able to push any further anyway, because when you go any further than this, if you guys could see the ground, that can give you what's called histoplasmosis, which is basically mouldy lungs. They can get you really sick. So if we're going to push any further in this kind of ground, we'd go back and get our respirator gear. It's really pinched off. I think I'll fit through there. Let's give it a go, eh? All right, dropping into the second one now, man. So I'll probably lose you soon. It's pretty tight, hey? Alright guys, check this out. 2 things have managed to escape the heat. Check out these beautiful blues. This is why we love exploring copper mines. Could have a little bit of a drift going up that way, could be a bit of a raise. And this one's pretty dangerous, extremely dangerous. It's a really tight squeeze. You just sort of drop your feet in and then shimmy across. Obviously if you don't know what you're doing, you'll go straight between those timber supports and down that hole. So we'll steer clear of that. I would say that would have been an ore pass down to where I just was. Spewing. These beautiful old timbers though, guys. Beautiful. Just checking out the back. Right, not as many bats in this one. Oh, this could be the dead end just here. Insane. I thought there's been some water in here. This whole thing's been flooded at one stage. How does that go down, I wonder? Oh. Yeah, guys, that can happen easy. Down to 19.5% oxygen. Look how close we are. Probably from these old timbers. Wow. Oh, what a tiny little level. That's all she wrote for that one, guys. Always explore them to the bitter end, because on the GoPro, all these little shadows look like their little sub-levels are running off to the side. Alright, let's get out of this one. Just stopping to show you these guys. These big old timber supports, they're not in very good condition. But check this out. Obviously it's hard to tell because the water level has actually filled this entire decline. If I line that up, you can see these old timbers had winding wheels in them. So remember the year of these mines. These are old workings. That would have been for a hand winding wheel and a windlass. Maybe before they actually got the ore chute down, they had to pull the ore back up. Alrighty guys, so sorry about that. They're only funny little explores. Still got some really cool photos. I've brought back a really nice looking sample to add to the little post here where all the walkers leave theirs. And if there's one thing I don't think we do a really good job of explaining the channel, we are not prospectors in any capacity. I don't have any equipment. We purely do it just for the history. So yeah, we get a lot of emails asking about, you know, how much gold we've gotten and where the gold is. We, you know, no disrespect to the prospectors, other than picking up this rock and adding it to the pile. That's as close as we'll ever get to prospecting. Doesn't interest us at all. No disrespect to anyone that does do it. That's just not us. Oh.
You good?
Yeah, man. Oh, it's all happening, guys. Just came down to the creek to wash off. Blake hasn't gone with my maps all day. He's gone with his gut. He's gone with following the cuttings and the old switchback trails. So as we dropped off this spur up over there, he said this is where I would tunnel. Oh, it's an adit, but she's blocked. But very encouragingly, it's not on the maps.
Dozed over, huh?
Yeah. Seen that gap there? Yep. Oh, pretty colours again. Cool. That's what the old timers would have done, is come up off the creek, like we've seen in so many places before. Guys, Adit City deposit. Follow this blue secondary copper deposit down, and look at that. Wowee. Sick. Alright, we're just now going with Blake's gut. We're way off map. He's some sort of mine whisperer. Oh my god. How many times is that today? Spider number 5,000. The first two mines of the day, most people are going to know where they are. The last shaft will never give that location. Other than it takes half a day to get to it. The sun's going down. We just walked up this stream with our mobile phone, taking a few photos, calling Blake the Mine Whisperer. And we have just stumbled on, I mean, it could be nothing, guys, but this is the most excited we've been all day. Remember today, flat tyre. We're going to have to do a 16k trek back. And we got saved by Good Samaritans. Explored 3 mines that went absolutely nowhere. But now we might be onto what I call unmapped madness. Now, this is the 3rd location that we've been to where the exact same type of mining has occurred. They've just come straight up off the creek. These would be old workings, guys. They're completely unmapped. There's nothing written about these ones. We may be the first to explore them, and that's why we won't give out the locations, guys. If we think it's dangerous, we'll never give out the locations. All right, so it's just a little rock cutting. Oh. After all that, we did find some running water, so we were absolutely filthy. So next time I head out with Blake, I'm going to stop trying to be the map expert, and both times I've shut my mouth and just listened to him with his experience, he's led us on to some beauties. So up there's the tunnel, we're hoping it's a tunnel, and then down there's the shaft of death. You got to know what's dangerous. There's a lot of debris on that, which makes it completely unclimbable. And then we've got this, I think it's just a little pocket. Oh no, maybe. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, gotta get a photo of that. Alright guys, we're gonna keep exploring. This is sick. Unmapped mining madness. We're talking, well, we know the first workings were out here were 1875. This has to be them. And we're thinking they got the ore out with the aerial tramway. Now that could explain why we've been frustrated all day. Tiny little decline tunnel, yeah, it was pretty, and then we found a little open stope and a small to medium size open cut. If these workings go anywhere, this is where all the mullet came from. Cross our fingers. I can smell it before I can see it. Holy shit. Holy shit! Holy shit! Oh my god. We are so far off the map now.
You got a bit of breeze?
Yeah.
Good breeze blowing down there.
That's not climbable. Look at that crystal blue cave. Alright, this is already a good sign. There's a huge amount of mullock. And Blake was just saying, I'll try and get a good field of view for you. But Blake was saying this is not a natural waterfall. He's got drill marks in all of this stuff all through. And down there's where we're definitely not going. That is extremely dangerous. We will definitely have a look in here. Alright, lights, camera, gas meter, action. Alrighty team, let's go. Somewhere there has to be a big tunnel. It is not this one. It stops again. No airflow, face. Any bats? How cool are they? Does they eat their weight and their body weight in bugs a week? Sorry, little fellas. Alright. Alright, well this has given us so much hope though, guys. We've found 3 adits in the space of 20 minutes. None of them are on the maps. So tomorrow morning, instead of trekking through the heat, we're not going to say where we are. We're probably going to walk up the river. Whew, trying to get my breath. Alright, let's get out of this one. Take some photos. There's beautiful blue in here, guys. Check that out. Had the little drift. That was fun. Time to cool off, guys, and head back to camp. What a day. What a day. Thanks to Blake. The coolest stuff you find is never on a map. Just like today. So, as long as Blake's cool with it, we're going to can tomorrow and head up the creek. Or down the creek, I think it'll actually be. And give it a couple of hours. If we don't find anything, Monto pub and a couple of beers is sounding epic. Alright, radio on.
Got a radio check.
Oh, that's good. That's real good. Look at that. I don't think that big boy is going to come out.
So we're going to cop a bit of dirt on your head.
Yeah.
Close the hole and see if there's any sort of convection or airflow. It's a pretty good indicator.
You're right to do the rope bag once I get over the lip. Yep. Oh.
Rocks.
It's alright. Oh, I have to stand up.
It's on this big rock here, dude.
Yeah. Perfect.
In.
Created too much of a dust storm. Shit, she's deep. Radio check if I still got ya.
There you go, mate.
She's a big un.
Around you. Tell me about your surroundings.
There's still so much dust, man. It's not funny. I can barely breathe in here. I'm at the bottom. Nah. Lots of old rail spikes, big timbers, fair bit of dead stuff. No drive, brother.
Has to be done.
I fully agree.
On the way back up.
Oh, I don't want to think about it just yet. That was actually a really good climb. It's about, no, serious, it's about as good as it gets because you only get a bit of dirt. The only thing that is not good is the amount of sand that's gone into my line. Shit, I've got my air meter going off. I better come back up, hey, it's dropping, it's 19.5 and going down. Ow. Don't know, man, she's pretty deep. I'll check the altimeter on my watch. So at the moment I'm 342 metres. Just gonna get a couple of photos and I'll come back up off the bottom.
No worries, hold it up here.
Alrighty guys, not much to see down here. This is the name of the game. Huge old shaft have just come down. Couldn't see the bottom because there was a dust storm. I bought 110 metres of rope, sorry, 110 feet of rope. I've lost 10 feet, 8 feet to rigging. I've got about that much left. You see a couple of the old blast holes in here, guys. You can probably hear my echo. Unfortunately, she is too muddy to see any of the that nice copper colouring that we saw earlier on today. But no remnants of a drift. What we've got to remember is this shut before World War One. So we've got 100 years or so of debris that's fallen down here. So, all right, time to make my way back up, guys. This is not going to be fun. Oh. Right, I've got to get out. All right, shut up. I'm going to call it a day, guys. We've still got to walk all the way back to the car tonight. But I think with how big an adventure today's been, we might be calling it an early day. Monto Pub is calling our name. Just gotta wait for the rocks, guys. Oh, this is going to take a while. Alright, I'm about 10 feet off the bottom now, coming up. Oi, didn't see that on the way down, like I didn't collect it in my leg. Another big shot hole, guys. See a bit of the quartz here. A lot of mud and shit's falling down here. Oh. So I don't know where that bad air was coming from. What we're hoping this shaft did, we're hoping this shaft drove and intersected into a drive. That's what I mean about taking your time, guys. If your arms start burning, you're doing it wrong. That's what I was doing for my first 6 months of climbing. Oh, see that one? This bit's tricky. They keep bombing down behind me, can you hear?
I've been hearing them the entire way.
I'll stand up. Yeah. Never gets any easier. That was rad. That was rad. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't feel any worse for the people that dug this and they've done nothing, right? Your answer.
How stagnant is that creek? Alright, we're going to go for a swim in the creek. So that's minor silicosis. We're going to histoplasmosis. Some sort of chronic fatigue. And then whatever that swamp's got in it. Great success. It's not bad, I wouldn't drink it. Alrighty guys, that is a wrap from Coppermine Creek. We packed up the tents, did a bit of a scare around for rubbish, even picked up a bit of rubbish that wasn't ours. We'll say goodbye to the chimney. We have exerted way too much energy today to get to the Lady Inez tomorrow, so such a fun day of adventuring. Those last few little adits that we found were so cool, and the coolest part about the history that we're chasing is when we find stuff that isn't mapped and as old as the workings that we just found. So that's us signing out guys. I'll just do a little video update because we'll be very relieved to find out if we can make it back out of this trail of death without popping another tyre.
Watch out for the mud.
Just started filming again guys because this is where we saw the massive red belly black snake at about 10 o'clock this morning, and they love the little rivers like this. Just filming to see if he's out and about again. How big do you reckon he was?
1.5 metres.
Big enough to do some damage. I don't think this is the way we came over.
I remember we had the stepping stone.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's alright on this side. That side's good.
That's right where the snake was. He would have kept running. Alright guys, almost back at the car. Didn't get eaten by a snake. Alright. Blake's out the front on rock duty. If we punch a tyre now, we are gone. Already had the Good Samaritan save us once. Oh, I'm pretty sure we're going to bottom out on this thing. Oh my god. This car is unbelievable. Go mate. Oh, don't know if you can hear that. Oh, I've got to put the camera away guys, got another creek crossing. Oh man, that was the hairiest drive of my life. We've crossed creeks. Blake was on rock duty for a while with the big torch. There's kangaroos coming everywhere. Man, if you like today's adventure guys, don't forget to subscribe. Things will be slowing down a bit now because we're back at work, but I reckon we've ended it with a bang. So if you joined in today guys, thanks for tuning in. See you guys on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode, guys. It might be a little while until you hear from us again. We're back at work, and this particular episode took a very long time to edit. I think in total we had about 4 GoPro batteries that we went through and over 3 hours of footage that had to whittle down to about a 40-minute episode that you see here today. So what an epic adventure. Also, as we're going through our old archive, we realised that this weekend marks the 12-month anniversary of our very first exploration for Queensland abandoned mines. So exactly 1 year ago today that this episode was filmed, we were out and about on the mountain bikes, chasing the coal history around the Begowan and Torbanley coalfields in our hometown of Hervey Bay. So didn't realise when we actually set up to do this adventure, but yeah, I think it was a really cool way to commemorate 12 months of Queensland mine exploring and sharing Queensland mining history with you guys. So one of the coolest things about this site was that a little bit of frustration the first third of the day, obviously with what happened with the car and some other factors. But the last workings we found of the day gave us the ability to really piece together the puzzle. So what we believe has happened at this site was that the old timers would have been prospecting the creeks like they did back in the day. The Queensland government was offering some really good compensation for anyone and any entity that could go and provide proof of some good minerals and anything that was worth mining, because the Queensland economy was in a lot of pressures because they'd only just recently broken up and become independent from New South Wales. That happened in 1859. So these mines are around about the 1870s. What we believe has happened is the old timers would have been prospecting the creek. They've come across this heavy altered rock, which they would have then realised is the strike of the fault. They've then followed the fault into the creek beds with the mines that you saw in the last part of the explorations today. And then they've followed the strike inland to the larger workings that you see with the Smiths mine and the Blue Bag mine. So absolutely huge day. We started at around about 5:30. You can see in this image here, our return to home time was just after 1:30 a.m. in the morning. A huge thank you to Blake as well, because he had to add on another 2.5 hours of travel time either way to get back to the Sunshine Coast. So I think his day started around about 3 a.m. On the Friday night when he arrived at my house. And I think he got home at about 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. So, and we'll just leave you guys with, I think, one of the coolest shots that we've got in the entire 12 months of exploring Queensland abandoned mines and sharing history with you guys. It's this shot that we've got of the last exploration of the day, that really dust-filled, big, deep shaft that we rappelled down. I think it's a really cool shot to end the video on. So thanks again for tuning in today, guys. It might be a little while till you hear from us again. Again, this episode took a long time to put together, and we don't really have anything on the horizon as of yet. So the channel's not going anywhere. We will be in the background researching maps, property access, and starting to plan our next exploration. So we hope to see you guys soon. Thanks again for tuning in.